We were expecting everyone except for Denise, Sarah, right, Sandy? So we need 5 for a quorum, correct?
Yeah, we have 4.
You have enough.
Oh, here's Luz.
Yeah, you have enough people.
I think Luz is having some problems because it says she's trying to connect.
We also need a pro tem secretary because Denise Sarah is not here. So someone has to be appointed.
Can we-
Hopefully,
Oh, I'd be happy to. Do I just approve sign the bills virtually?
No,
sign-
eventually when we have an in-person meeting, everyone who's a pro tem needs to sign.
Okay, I'm happy to be a pro tem.
Okay, thanks.
hi Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
And there's Luz.
Hi, Luz.
So we're waiting for Paul.
Hi.
Hello.
I
How
think
are
if you've got enough, you might as well.
Okay, well then, we're starting the meeting at 7:02 p.m. First with the minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look at the minutes? Any questions? Any comments? I can't hear you, Hope. I see your mouth moving.
You're muted, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
We need a second. I move to approve them.
Okay. Okay, so Hope moves and Diane seconds. So we're approving the minutes of the meeting last month, May 11th. And the next item on the list,
Well, gotta vote.
oh, I'm so sorry.
It's COVID, don't worry.
A vote, please.
In favor.
Raise hands. Luz?
Yes.
Okay. So we have the votes. Minutes are approved. Next item is the budget. Any comments? From anybody? No? Okay. We need a motion to approve.
Motion.
Well, we have to approve the bills, not the budget.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Has anybody had a chance to look at the bills? I understand they were reviewed.
Yes,
Diane, you have a question.
yes, I did review the bills. Thank you
Okay.
to Bill and to Sandy for preparing them so meticulously, and for Sandy to show me what to do, as it was my first time. They were perfect. I recommend to others to go in and take a look, because I think you really get an idea of how the library money is spent. It's very simple to review them. Well, maybe I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. It's very simple to review them because they put them in such good order. So everything was fine. So I would move that we approve the claim number 10. bills.
Okay. A second? Okay. Can we have a vote, please? By hand, show of hands?
Aye.
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 Okay, great. And now we go on to the reports of the library administration. Brian?
So you've received it all, from all the departments. I hope you've had a chance to review it. Happy to answer any questions that may come up or that you have. a little bit of this will be discussed later. John has some things that he wants to bring up, but we'll push that back
Yeah.
to the presentation more towards the end of the meeting.
Just a comment. I was just overwhelmed by the staggering number of outstanding programs that we hosted this month. It was really beyond impressive.
I agree with that. Hope it is not just the number of programs, but the descriptions that we receive from the
Yeah, well, I
staff.
mean,
Really-
they were so high quality. Yeah.
Well, so you really get a sense of what the programs were about. And I'm sorry that I missed so many of them.
The whole Harriet Tubman statue and our work with other organizations in the city was really great. It spurred us on. We created a lot of programs around that. And the attendance was really pretty great with all of those.
I saw the photographs of the displays in the Trove. They were great. They were really, really great. I even printed them out, but I can only print in black and white, but the pictures in color are great.
And what's also been nice is we've been getting out to, we've been getting out to a lot of events in the community, which, we haven't really done that in 18, 24 months. And it's going to be a great summer for that.
Oh, there's Denise. Hi, Denise. You're upside down.
No, I don't know how to fix that. Let me see. Well, anyway, I'm here.
What are you on? Are you on an iPad or a computer or?
I'm on my iPad. I finally got the video to work. and Now I'm upside down.
Well, how
I'll
about
figure
if you turn up the iPad upside down?
Oh, well, then I have to turn my laptop upside down. Why don't I just turn it off and I won't throw everybody off?
No, but we want to see your face.
Well, I'll figure it out in the meantime. Hopefully.
You can
Okay.
you can lock it if you're on an iPad. That's the key.
I'm in my laptop, so
Oh,
really weird. Anyway,
well, we hope you're well. We hope to see your pretty face soon.
I'll figure it out, hopefully.
Okay, the next item is the trustee reports and business. Diane's not here. Do we have any reports from, I'm sorry, Diane, do you have anything to report from WLS?
So Denise has been our WLS rep.
Mm-hmm.
And Denise just resigned from being.
We have to get, right. Did the Friends meet this month?
They've met recently. I don't know if it was this month or not, but they're planning the staff party, which is staff luncheon, which is next week, I believe. Is that correct, Kathy? Or week
Yeah,
after?
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's next Wednesday from
Uh-huh.
12 to 2, and I'm sure in the auditorium, and I'm sure you're all invited.
Yep.
So it's gonna be nice.
Well, I hope some of you can go, but I work from 9 to 5, so I won't be able to join you, but I will be there in spirit.
I think it's gonna be very nice.
And Nancy, the foundation report?
We are just wrapping up our fiscal year and working on our budget, and the board meets next week. So we had kind of a pretty administrative month, except we're paying for, we're funding just so many things that you can see in the newsletter, and starting to talk about next year. That's all I have for today.
Okay. And Brian, ongoing business?
I'm going to leave the optimum discussion to John because he knows a lot more about it. In terms of staff changes, as you all know, Christian has retired. And Lauren Lichtenthal, who was in our Youth Services Department, is taking her position and doing her work right now. And we have 2 resignations, a librarian in the Adult Services Department, who some of you may have worked with, Christy Bauman, who is our programming librarian. And she's leaving for a position that's outside of libraries. And then Ashley Bressingham, who was a youth services, primarily children's librarian, has left and is going to New Rochelle, where she has a more management position at New Rochelle. So good things, you know. I mean, I like being able to bring in new librarians who are early in their career and have them spend some time with us and then move on. So we're advertising for both of those positions. We're looking for real generalists in youth services, a real generalist also on the adult side, people that can do a lot of programming and a lot of time on public service desks. And again, it would be nice to get somebody who is, it's a great job to have when you sort of get out of graduate school, get out of library school, just because the amount of exposure you're going to have. So that's where we are with those 2 positions. In terms of Board of Trustee changes, Denise Serra has resigned from the board, effective. I think this would be her last. This would have been her last meeting. This meeting, and she's also resigned as our representative to WLS, which is a pretty important role, I would say, for the board to have a representative on WLS. And it's obviously something that's very useful to me as well. So I don't know if we want to have that discussion now or at a later point.
Why don't we do it now while we're all thinking about it?
Fine with me.
I'm going to reach out to certain members of the White Plains community. I would like to have somebody who is a couple of generations younger than most of us are. I would like to have somebody from the LGBTQ community represented.
This for the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any ideas, any people that they think would be great additions? I'm going to make some phone calls myself to some people. I'm in the middle of doing that to see some people that I think would be great. Anybody else have any ideas or any people that they would like to call? And then
I haven't really given it any thought, but Elaine, I wonder, like, what kind of qualities are you looking for? What, special background or that might help us generate some ideas.
I just think someone who is active, a White Plains resident, somebody who cares about the library and the city that we live in, who has a different perspective because of their age and life experiences would be a great addition to the board. We have a lot of teachers already, someone who does something differently. That's just my opinion.
Well, I think those, oh, wait a minute. I think those are very important qualities. I think that most important, but I think it's vital that someone be a devoted library user as well. It's very hard to understand the not the culture, but the type of job and the outreach we have if you're never in here.
Exactly. I totally agree. I totally agree.
Well, I guess we'll all keep hunting.
So I'm going to make a few phone calls to some people that I know who are younger than I am, much younger, who are very active in the community and who are White Plains residents, and see if what they think, if they know of anybody, or I have one or two people who I think would be great additions to the board.
Kathy, do you have any other qualities that you think might be important to?
Can't hear you, Kathy. You're on mute.
So, I mean, I do know a lot of the regular library users. And I think I do have some ideas. I'll share with that with Elaine.
Great, great, great. Great. So, new business. The
Well,
library.
what about WLS? I think that we need a representative on WLS. And I don't know, who is interested, has time. It's from having done the job for a good number of years, it's vital that we have a representative. And I was going to suggest, if it's not that, Diane, you've done everything else for the library, the foundation, the board. And I didn't know if you would be interested or in taking this on.
I think it's an important role for us to understand what's going on, and we, in the short time that I've been on the board, we know there are some issues, and we've been missing reports because Denise hasn't attended the meetings and reported back to us. So I think I could make a contribution to our board by participating in that and reporting back.
Brian, is it possible for Denise to be our observer and see how she feels after she's gone a couple of times?
Oh, I think we can set any ground rules we want. Sure.
Good.
I don't know if they meet twice in the summer. I seem to think they take some time off, but I'll look into that.
Okay, I mean, because Denise, I think you should know, I'm not Denise, yeah, Diane, you should, have experienced a meeting or so, and then
I would welcome the opportunity, hope to talk to you before I agree, just to get a little better understanding. I've actually attended some of their meetings.
Oh, well, then that's
way back in the past, as part of our link with the foundation,
right. Well,
their annual meetings and stuff. But I'd really like to have that conversation with you. if that's all
anytime
right.
at your convenience.
Great, thank you.
The thing with the WLS board is it's one of those classic cases where to not have somebody there voting is basically having somebody voting yes all of the time. And that's really why, we need somebody on that board.
Of course. And to know what's going on.
Right.
Well, and I think that this is important for the board to think about, nothing to do with a representative. The question is WLS here to serve the member libraries, small, medium, large, urban, rural, or are we just appurtenances of WLS and they really are, we are just like branch libraries. And I think that it's an important how one looks at it. Because one size does not fit all with libraries in this city. I mean, in this county, I didn't mean city.
Right.
So is that something that has evolved over time or changed over time, Hope?
I think it's been an issue depending on the leadership of WLS and also the directors. Brian, I've, do you have stuff to add to that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's certainly changed over the time that, I've been involved. I mean, I think when you look at WLS, there was a clear, for a long time, you had the larger libraries, the urban libraries were paying a lot more or significantly more than mid-size and smaller libraries, which is kind of a crazy situation, actually. I mean, some of that has really been remedied over the last few years, and we have a different finance model. So we can assume more of our own tasks, especially things like technology, ourselves. But that's been a big problem, I think, actually, is the finance model. And then, we can talk about it more. I mean, there's definitely some biases I see in WLS, and in terms of the types of libraries and where these libraries are located and how they may get supported. But that's sort of like I think that's like a critical filter that you'd sort of want to bring to this position.
But Brian, I'm speaking now or asking out of ignorance, when the library system emerged, what was the balance? Why did library systems emerge, and what was their purpose?
So library systems emerged to be able to share resources. That was the number one job, and that still is the number one job. When I say share resources, the way we're able to move books and movies all around the county, and we're able to act as though we have one collection, that is a great thing that WLS does. And I see, you can go find other states, the state of Connecticut, other places are struggling to do what we take so much for granted. And in many ways, it is like one library, and it is like one collection, and that's really wonderful. We also make decisions about using the money, federal money and state money that comes down to us for online content, databases, streaming movies, things like that, that we also share countywide. That is a really great thing. I think that what has been murkier is WLS's role as a technology provider. That doesn't affect us nearly as directly as other people, because we've taken ourselves out of that mix as some other libraries have. But I think that's something that they have not been able to do particularly well. And perhaps you could even say disastrously and expensively. But that's my opinion on it. But it's that element of resource sharing, which is so instrumental and so unglamorous, but that's what we do. And White Plains, to toot our own horn, because we've got good funding for materials, when we sit down and buy books and buy films, we're buying them for our community, but we're also looking a bit at what's happening countywide. And if there's a biography out there that is important, but none of the other 34 libraries have purchased it, we'll purchase it, for the county as a whole. And that's sort of a role that we, to a degree, take on ourselves.
So at the next meeting, Diane, you'll attend? Can't hear you. You're on mute.
Sorry. I'll see if they have summer meetings, and I'd like to talk to Hope, but if they do have a meeting, I think anybody can attend. It's not like our meetings, anybody in the community can join.
Okay.
Hope you're on mute.
They used to be on a 10-month schedule, and that would make the next meeting in September.
Oh. Okay. So we're going to.
Are the meetings recorded? So where
I don't know.
you could go back and view a meeting?
Good question. I don't know.
I don't know.
I was just curious because, you know, it would help Diane, I think, if rather than going in cold, she was able to watch a meeting and see who the players are and what you can anticipate. At least that's what I'd like, if it were me.
Well, also Denise, I think, you know, it would be a way to know what's going on in the last few meetings when we haven't had a representative there and we've been missing a
Yes.
report from our trustee meeting, our own trustee meeting. Yeah, that's a great question. So a question I would have is, where are our recorded meetings? Where would one find them?
From this group?
Yeah, from our group. So it may help, you know, find if WLS has them.
John,
just
to
un-
that?
Well, we don't typically keep them beyond a certain period of time. So it's just that if they're recorded in the cloud, we have to download them and then delete them from the cloud to maintain enough space for future recordings. But we don't, as a matter of course, keep the recordings. I will have to check with adult services because they're the ones who actually deal with them. So they might actually have them.
But that
I'll
would,
find out.
that would seem to be a lost opportunity. You know, that we should be able to provide on our website the back meetings, right?
We can do that. If you say the word, I'll make it happen.
Brian, I'm sure the best way to find out is just to ask, I beg your pardon, Terry, who's very cooperative, lovely human being.
Okay. I mean, I think we can, yeah, I mean, I'm asking about the burlesques. I think that we can do what we want with ours.
No, I mean about the recording.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
minutes. Maybe they have minutes.
they do have,
Certainly have minutes.
yeah.
Okay, so now let's talk about the optimum immersion room.
Okay, so that's John is going to pick that up. John will talk about that.
Okay, well,
You want to wait until we move over to you, John, or?
sure, yeah.
Okay. So if you just want to go through the new business, we can wrap it up and then give it over to John.
Okay. We have the library hours and the holiday schedule to go over. In the documents, I just saw the dates, but these are for effective July 1st, and these go into 2023. The only questions I have about this is that some of the religious holidays aren't here, and you'll have to forgive me. I don't remember if the library is closed. I see that it's closed for Good Friday and Easter Sunday, but is it closed for Yom Kippur? I can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Okay.
Okay. So no, we are only closed for Christian holidays, as far as I can tell. Basically, for Good Friday and for Easter. That's not a decision that's made by the library. That's a citywide decision that reflects the CSEA contract between CSEA and the city of White Plains. So those hours are hours that you're going to see at every city building in the city. Why Good Friday? I have absolutely no idea. I personally, I've never worked with a Good Friday closing. I mean, these things are evolved, and I would imagine that at some point it may be different. some other point, but it's not something that we as a library can change.
Okay. Okay, so has everybody had a chance to look at the dates and the hours? I mean, it seems to be par for the course.
I move do you need a motion? I think so. Do we
Yes,
I move that we accept the list of closings and schedule.
second, please. Will someone's, okay, Luce? Okay, and vote by show of hands, please. Okay, so that's done. Now, the next item is the new exterior signage.
So that's a project that I've started working on. The cafe folks, of course, want to create more of a graphic or visual presence out there, and they brought in this graphic designer. And I was like, well, that's very nice. We should be able to create more of a graphic presence for the cafe, but we better start first by creating a better presence for the library, of which the cafe is a part. And this gentleman that they brought in was great to work with, and we're thinking about different ways that we can really kind of make the building pop, and what we can do to attract attention to it. You know, we're challenged, you know, it's kind of like the Parthenon, our building. I mean, we're challenged in that we have this great overhanging ledge above us, right? And then you go underneath that, which is really nice on a rainy day. And then there are the windows, which are really dark. And for years, we've been putting things on the windows, but nobody can see that. So one of the sort of like fun, sort of playful things that turn out to actually not be tremendously expensive would be we could wrap a series of columns. Like if you're thinking of the columns, and next time you're driving along Martin Luther King and you're seeing the library on the left, we could take 4 or 6 columns. We could have one that just says White Plains Library on it, one that says cafe, one that signals children and play, one that signals technology. We could have them up there for 4 months. We could take it down. We could put something else up, for example, like banned books or summer reading, and just kind of use that space as a way to attract attention to ourselves. So obviously, I'm looking at something that would have high impact, but not be chaotic, be attractive, not be ugly. And I'll bring to this board maybe next month some possible drafts of things that we could do. But you know, the idea is we really need right now, I mean, coming out of this period where we were closed and we had limited schedules, and people are still, I mean, I still pick up a reticence among some people about coming in. Of course, that's balanced with the other groups of people that want to come in and have events with 150 people. But nonetheless, you know, it's like coming out of this period right now, I think that we really got to do what we can to kind of wake the building up and wake it up on the sort of general cityscape.
Like,
So-
could it be bright colors, like neon colors and happy bright colors, like,
Yeah,
or would it be just like our usual red with the white, or would it be,
I think we got to go to a different palette.
yeah, like orange and like bright, like happy, bright, come inside? Be great,
Eye-catching.
yeah.
Where is this again? What columns are these?
So what we were thinking about was like if you were driving on Martin Luther King, right on the left-hand side, you know, there's the courthouse, and then there's this row of columns.
Yeah, I can't visualize it, but
Yeah, well,
Okay.
next time you're driving by or walking, it's a long strip of maybe about 8-10 columns.
And in the front too, they go all around the building, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to, you know,
oh,
it's
I
like,
see. So it's on the side of the street that when you're walking to the courthouse, not in front.
right.
Yeah.
Right,
That's great. That's
Yeah.
good.
yeah. So this,
It wouldn't hurt in the front either.
huh?
It wouldn't hurt in the front either.
No, it wouldn't hurt in the front. And we've been toying with, we had those flags, which were really beautiful and really nice, and they lasted about 4 months. That was kind of their shelf life before the wind tore them apart. So like we could just take those 2 columns right there and it could just be White Plains Public Library, with lettering that would be readable on both sides. So,
Isn't there a little island too? There's no columns there now, but isn't there an island between where you pull up for 15 minutes and where they now put meters, which okay, so maybe even the city would be so kind as to install something there, and it would be before you got to that ugly neon sign where people advertise. And that would be much more inviting than, what is it, 2 lanes of traffic now, parked cars, then parked cars, and the library is set back and it's extraordinarily unattractive, but whatever.
Yeah, you mean the library is extraordinarily unattractive.
Well, the lead into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got 2 rows of parked cars.
Not to
I
make
mean, how is that inviting?
Right. Yeah.
Ours are just a symptom of a metropolis, and that's what White Plains is now.
A question: when most people approach the library by automobile, do they approach it from Martin Luther King, turn the corner so they can be able to park? Because then I think it's particularly punchy if we can wrap those columns.
Yeah, because it's one way. That's the only way they could.
That's the
Right.
only way they can get to the library unless they come down Martine.
Then they got to figure out where to turn in for the garage, which is always challenging.
Right. But I see a lot of traffic coming and swinging around that corner and then people going right into the temporary parking or downstairs parking, or just saying the hell with it and going to Scarsdale and picking up your items, which is also an increasingly popular.
People in my neighborhood go to the one that's in North White Plains, the little tiny library, and they pick them up there.
Right.
So
I
little
think it's a wonderful idea. I'd love to see the design that you have in mind. I guess the placement is an issue.
Yeah.
And I was around for the flags, and so it's disappointing that they didn't last. It was a good idea.
We can bring them back at any point. We really can.
Well, if the wind is going to destroy the next version, what's the point?
What is the cost of the flags? What was the cost?
Not expensive. We paid, the foundation funded them. I don't remember. We had them done twice though, right?
Correct.
No.
Yeah, they were inexpensive.
I
Yeah,
thought it was really, really great. I really
Yeah,
did.
they were effective. It's a little late now. It's like closing the barn door after everyone's escaped. How did that extra traffic pattern change? Was the library consulted with that for that, or did they just decide to reorganize traffic there?
They just decided to reorganize traffic there.
Okay.
It was also, part of that whole movement to create a bike lane. That's a piece of what's going on there as well. So there's a lot happening.
Bike lane is fine. Nobody's objecting to the bike lane. I mean, we wanted pedestrian traffic, bike traffic.
Right
It's
side up.
actually- Excuse me?
You're right side up.
Oh, yeah, I figured it out. And John, I almost reached out to ask you, but while we were talking, I Googled it. Google is an amazing thing. On
Yes.
Dell, how do you fix when you're upside down? They told
I
me.
checked, I couldn't find anything.
I finally got it.
Well,
Anyway. I don't think we're gonna be able to remedy the traffic situation. But your point is well taken, Brian, that it's, there isn't anything inviting, not only about the side, but about the front. I mean, there are flowers that they, put in there, but there really isn't anything in that morass of parking. Maybe they could put some, flowers in there too or something. I don't know. I don't know what to say, but it's not, it's hard getting out. It's, it's a drive-by as far as I'm concerned.
Well, a lot of people did not even know that that building, believe it or not, was a library. And I go to a lot of rallies that are right by the MLK statue. And when we had the banners up, that's when people would say to me, oh, so that's the library. So anything that would call attention to the library building so that people can see and, oh, look at that huge building. I wonder what they have in there. That's a big library. That would be, I think, very welcome and welcoming.
I agree.
I look forward to seeing the, I guess, mock-ups that we're gonna have at the next meeting.
Yeah, I'll see if the gentleman is, I haven't seen his work yet, so I gotta see what he looks like. But
Yes.
get him to the next meeting, that would, and, if it makes sense, that would be great.
Nancy, is that something that you think the foundation would subsidize?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, we did this appeal for new initiatives, and that's a new initiative that people want to see things like that. So I think it'd be great.
And now the update on the library system.
Sure. Just before we turn it over to John, the board had wanted to see our audit. So I did distribute that. It's, the book is obviously this is a very substantial book. So I just copied the cover page, the first page, and the one page that's pertinent to the library. And that was a very, very weird year that you're looking at. This was page 121, because that was the year in which, COVID came in March, but it didn't really affect us that much until the next fiscal year, which was July 1st. I mean, it did start to affect us, but not really. And at that point, you kind of already have next year's budget planned out. So you'll see in that budget that there was money that was left or was given back to the city. And that was just because of COVID and because we weren't spending money like we did before. We had no part-timers for a year.
That was the last page of the package, right?
Correct. So that's what our annual audit looks like.
I think you've answered my question, which is since we underspent, that goes back into the fund balance in a year like that, which is basically returning it to the city.
Correct.
Okay.
The city keeps some funds out, in case there's some funds there to use in case something happens. And the sorts of things that something happens is, for example, if the utilities really radically change and we have an upcharge of like $40,000 or something like that on our utilities. So, is there any other questions? You can turn it over to John.
I'll start with the Altice Igloo, which is a work in progress. There have been some delays starting out with the supply side problem, obtaining the blind, which will black out the exterior light. And the blind had been received. It was supposed to be installed on the 23rd of May. That didn't happen because the wrong brackets came with the blind. And now they're having replacement brackets fabricated, and we're expecting them tomorrow. So let's see what I can show you. That white piece that's at the base of the windows, that's the blind, which of course will go up there. And it's electric, where you push a button, the blind comes down. It'll be the same color as the walls, kind of oyster shell white for projection purposes. And the door will be painted the same way. So basically it'll project a seamless panoramic view on all 3 walls. And up above is the projector array. There are 5 projectors that are up there and 4 speakers, 1 in each corner. So these are high-end laser projectors, which means you could project it on a corner surface and it'll be in focus no matter, what the distance is, that sort of thing. So that's where we're at. So we're hoping that the workmen come back next week to install the blind, and then we have the room painted, and then the system is configured and calibrated. And once that's done, we're going to arrange for staff training. And as far as the types of use it could have, let me share my screen a moment. So you could have something like, let's see. This is from Google Earth. It's Angkor Wat in Cambodia. And so you could have a view like this inside this room and look around. And if it's a full, say, 360-degree virtual reality film or recording, it'll also have audio, whatever, wildlife, things like that. You could have museums. Let's see. There's.
John, how do you access what you want on there?
I'm sorry?
How do you get to choose what you put on there?
Well, the details regarding that remain to be seen, but there are apps for Android and iPhone that you can control it just with your phone. You could also use it as a game controller of sorts, from what I've seen.
So if I wanted to go to Rome and see the Colosseum and the ruins, you're saying I could download, I would have to download something and then I'd be in a 360, I could be the gladiator?
Yes. Yes, you could. And yeah.
How many people can be in a room sharing an experience like, along with Denise and 3 other people? How many more people can be in this room and look at the Colosseum?
I think room A, we have a capacity at 25, maybe, something like that.
Yes, that's correct. Confirming that capacity is 25 people in that room.
Okay.
There's also a lot of content that's developed for this. So if you wanted to go to ancient Rome and do a little look-see, you could just Google it first and find out, has the Met, has one of the Italian museums put together an archaeological tour in it that's in 3D, and then bring it up. And you can just bring stuff up just by putting in the URL.
Yes.
Right.
That's
So they'll-
amazing. That's amazing.
I feel like a lot of world-class museums have this capability.
So it'll
Yes.
be something that it's going to be on the White Plains webpage to download, or is it going to be like a keypad that's in the room to do?
we'll have wireless, excuse me, wireless keyboard and mouse. There's going to be what they call the IMP. It's the Igloo Media Processor. And it's this high-end computer that can handle this sort of thing. So basically you'd connect to that or just use your phone and you could do something as, say, simple as having a spreadsheet on one wall, a PowerPoint presentation on another, things like that. Pretty much the sky's the limit. But I can see it being most impressive giving virtual field trips, especially for kids. I mean, just picture if you have the Igloo already set up and running, where you have something like the ruins of Angkor Wat, and you come through the museum gallery to this unassuming door, you open it up, and now you're in this, you know, totally different landscape virtually. So I think it's going to be quite a hit in the county.
Yeah, nobody has this in Westchester.
And it'll be run by reservation, obviously, no?
Yes.
And do we have expected date then everything will be up and running?
Well, I'm hoping in 2 weeks we're going to start staff training. So as I said, we should be receiving the mounting brackets for the blind, and I was told I'll find out what a schedule is for those workmen to come in and install that. That's a one-day job. And then the painting is a one-day job. So I'm thinking 2 weeks at this point.
Brian, do you think, am I on mute? Hold on a second. No. Do you think that once we get this up and going, that we might be able to use it as a fundraising opportunity by asking corporate sponsors if they want to have their advertise their company for the month of May prior to each use? Like last Con Ed on 3 walls, last, something like, is that something we're able to do?
It's something Optimum would like us to do.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, did we get this from Optimum though? I mean,
Yeah.
I want to raise money.
We
Yeah,
got
no,
$100,000 from them and their names on the room. So I'm not sure they're just having done corporate sponsorships. I'm not sure they're going to want to use their money to.
Oh, I see. So they've got the exclusive by virtue of the fact.
Well, I
didn't know.
don't think it was spelled out that way, but I mean, we have done that with some companies where we've used screensavers in the edge. We've gotten some corporate money and we've used the logo from the company as a screensaver. So when the teenagers would sit down, they'd see they'd see Allstate and think when they grow up and they want to buy insurance, whatever. I don't know.
And how long?
Okay, I didn't realize that was that we had gotten all that money from them.
How long did they look at that Allstate screensaver?
It was up there for like a year. It was up just for a few minutes, but we had it in the hub too after the because we used some Allstate money. We got 10 years of funding from them before my time, and it was just a really easy thing, and probably hard for John and Austin to set it all up, but it was a really good way to offer visibility. And I've offered it before, but haven't had much luck. So I don't know if it's in their heads and when they grow up, they'll think about Allstate, but Allstate gets a lot good statistics out of it, like more than 100,000 people viewed our logo or whatever.
So is this a room that we would rent out in a new way where we provide the staff to utilize the technology?
That's what I envision. Yeah.
So I think that there'd be two answers to that. One, we'd want to have some training for people so that they are comfortable using it, and then they could book it and use it on their own. But other people are going to want to have the training or have somebody handhold them. This is part of like a larger issue that we've been dealing with. Kathy's been sort of talking about it with John, because we used to just rent a room. We didn't have $80,000 worth of technology to rent along with it. And the same way, we used to just rent out an auditorium, but now we've got an auditorium that's got 4 state-of-the-art cameras, and all of this other stuff, as well as staff who aren't library staff, but they could in turn, be compensated to do a live stream of an event, of a League of Women Voters event or something like that. So there's all kinds of questions right now about like, what do we do with these spaces and what do we do with this type of staff knowledge and help? And frankly, I don't think we don't have the answers yet. Kathy, you could dive in here. I know you've been thinking about this.
Well, we do have a policy, a library policy on meeting rooms, and it does articulate, the costs for meeting rooms and how their capacities, et cetera. And I can share my screen. You disabled my screen sharing. But, we do have prices on the auditorium that we rent and the Rotary room and so forth. But this is a policy that the board's going to have to consider. But it's kind of premature at the moment. But I have recommended new prices for those spaces. And I have it, I can share it.
You should be able to share now. Try sharing.
Do we also have security cameras in these rooms?
No,
When you have that kind of, I'm wondering if you might need it in the room where where we have all the equipment as a safety measure. It's expensive equipment and the doors are closed, especially in this media room or whatever, the Optimum room.
Right. I don't know if you can see my screen now, but I put up the current prices that we have on our policy. Like I said, it's a policy that the board's going to have to consider, and things
We
that we
see you.
recommend. Can you see me?
We see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible. But anyway, I do have a document where I've recommended new changes, but I feel like it's premature.
Okay. Maybe we can get a sponsor for security systems and we could say Optimum room secured by ADT.
Great idea.
Well, I think a security system is, this is something we really have to think about, because that's scary, the thought of a room of that importance and magnitude being destroyed by something capricious.
I feel like, the room rental of the Igloo should include some tech support at first. So if somebody's going to rent it, they're going to rent the space, but also the human being, AG staff, to facilitate it.
What about including in the rental a insurance against damage?
Well, the library is self-insured. So Bill Dearline could answer that question better than I could, but any damage, the library would be liable for. We could set up a waiver or like a document.
Yeah, because we're not talking
I take responsibility for use of the space, or.
Well, because we're not talking about a dent in the wall. We're talking about major 4-figure, 5-figure damage.
It's a good point.
It's Denise's.
It's a good point. I mean, right now we have, exhibits in the museum gallery, and we ask people to provide the prices on the items, what they're appraised for. So, the library insurance would cover that if up to over $100 in damage. So if a piece is damaged, the library insurance would pay for the balance. We don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of art in that gallery, but we could do something similar. And the cable TV station, I want to say that the community uses that facility, but before they're able to produce a show, for example, a community show, they're certified as producers, and they have to have some significant training to do that. So we might want to adopt a similar model.
John, I'm sure you didn't anticipate this was going to set off all this discussion. But,
I mean, it's important to talk about all this stuff. But
yeah, no, it is. I'm sort of wondering, after it's all installed, which you say is, going to be relatively soon when we get the rest of the equipment and stuff, whose responsibility is it to maintain it and fix it when it's broken? I assume that's ours, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
except for the warranty.
Except for the warranty, which is, I don't know, what is that, 1, 2 years? How long?
1 year.
1 year. Okay. And who provides, are there maintenance contracts available for this?
Yeah.
And who provides them? Optimum. No, just kidding. I mean, does that work?
Yeah, that would have to be Igloo Vision, and they're based in England. But aside from that, there are components I can certainly replace as needed, say if a hard drive fails, that sort of thing.
Okay. So this is not really complicated. I mean, I'm thinking of the thing like, the White Plains fountain, remember, it played music and it did all these wonderful things, and then it went totally bust. I mean, is this not that complicated? And like you said, it's fixing a server and fixing a track and, getting a part that, we're not looking at major complications. I mean, we're there, we went down this road, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, it's as far as the complexity, most of it is with regard to the software that will be installed on it, because here this computer is going to be controlling 5 projectors, that sort of thing. So there's some special component boards installed in the computer that, are pricey, I'm sure. The computer itself, I seem to recall, was pretty expensive itself, like $30,000, something like that. So
But if the software all of a sudden stops working?
the software stops working, then I would contact them for the tech support.
Okay, and is that included in the purchase price, and for how long?
Yes, for how long, and I have to find out, but I believe it's at least for the first year.
It would be-
I'll double check on that.
Right, because we don't want, like Denise said, the system all of a sudden failing and,
Right.
okay,
Well, believe me, I don't want that myself, because that's on me.
Oh, no, it's not on you. It's.
Well-
it's happening.
it's computers.
Yes. I mean,
No, for all
if
you know,
I-
it'll be upside down in a week.
well, then I'll call you.
I'll Google it. I'm looking forward to it. It sounds very exciting. I won't have to travel anymore.
Denise, you and I can go to Rome together.
Yeah, they have a lot of new archaeological finds that I haven't seen in the last, I haven't been there in like 15 years. Exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Anything else at this time?
I just wanted to personally remind everybody that not this Thursday, but next Thursday is the MLK exhibit. And it looks to be really incredible. So let's all mark our calendars and attend. Brian, anything else to add?
No,
Okay, then. So at 8:06, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Denise, second, anybody? Luce, okay. So we are adjourned. Have a great rest of month, everybody, and I'll see you next month at, good night.
Good night.
Take care all.
Bye-bye.
Right.
I hate to leave now.
John, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
My
you. That was
pleasure.
great.